something here related to church. And it's always portrayed as a very peaceful place. And the thing I've often thought about is, it's my gosh, why couldn't it have been peaceful at home? And I was just thinking, as a kid, if I would have thought things through a little bit more thoroughly, I would have just went and hid out at church, because that was kind of a safe sanctuary place to be able to hide out away from being yelled at as a kid. Granted, yes, you only have the child's perspective of life and why your parents yell at you for things that you think are ridiculous, which a lot of things can be overly ridiculous. But and I'm just thinking, for other people, thankfully, I never had to deal with the sexual abuse as a child. It was just kind of yelling all the time, and an overly critical mom at times, and competition. This is something I said I was going to talk about, because I did feel like that my mom pitted my sister and me against each other related to competition, and her. She even included herself, and so it was like she was always taking jabs at us as a child, um, related to grades even too. And it's like, I always had thought, I didn't even have the mindset to think, well, that my mom is an adult, and so, or that her grades were different. But she was always telling me about that we were learning some new math related to math, and she couldn't help us with our math skills and homework. The only thing with that, I always thought, well, what's the difference between the math that she learned and the math that we're learning? The only thing I could think is, I don't know, maybe she didn't know how to add and subtract or something. I don't know. I mean, she must have learned eventually. But now she did like to go to church, so it had, maybe that's one of the things I never thought about that she wouldn't talk to me about when she was alive. It was she went to church a lot and found solace in going to church. So if things were bad in her home as a child, which those are things she never talked about, she never talked bad about her parents. The only one time she told me about was that when her and her sister were little girls, like I think she said about third, fourth grade. There was one time, I don't know where Grandma was, but Grandma, she told me that her dad took them downtown and left them sitting in the car by their own selves outside, and he went inside of a bar. Now, she didn't say if it was night or during the day, but she just said he went into a bar. And I also overheard her saying that people were saying that my grandpa was a drunk. I have no idea if he was or not. I have absolutely no idea. She was saying he didn't drink. So I don't know if she took on the notion of maybe she knew he did, but then people talked bad about him. So what? It was legal if he did. So what if he did drink? You know, um, I mean, that's a conversation I wish I could have had with my mom, so that maybe she could have felt better about it, and, understood that people drinking is legal, but yet we're shamed related to people who have been drinking liquor. So maybe the silent generation and baby boomer generation. So in church, it's nice and peaceful. Church is nice and peaceful when we hear it on YouTube, when you go into a church. And then even people with their little kids, everybody's quiet, like she telling the little, shh, be quiet now. And we got smiles on our faces going into church. But when people go home, the men are not nice when they go home. They'll smile in your face at church, be all nice and quiet, and they're yelling at their families like a bat out of hell. Now, why is that? Why do you guys think? Why do you guys think that is? So I'm thinking, my mom was she loved going to church. She found solace in going to church. She had friends and people in church, and so after putting a lot of thought in, even after my mom has passed away, I've put a lot of thought into it. Maybe she was hiding out in church from some abuses that were taking place in her home, and she hid the abuses. Because I was thinking, with things that happened with my first husband related to things that happened to him in his childhood, my mom advised me that I should never tell my kids about it. And it always had me thinking about something took place and possibly in my mom's childhood that I'll probably never know about. I'm not even sure if she would have told my dad, or maybe she did tell my dad. But all I know is how hard it was for me. I felt like I'm keeping a secret that I've been told, which my kids could eventually find out, or, they probably didn't care. Eventually I found out they really don't care because of how their dad treated them. It just kind of falls in with line with what happened in his childhood. But even though that was his mom's fault, because he was a child and his mom is the one who took on the foster kids. So that was his mom's fault for what happened. He was just a boy. He was just a child. And I've often thought, nothing happened to it. Well, he actually spent time in jail for what happened. My kid's dad did. He spent time in jail for something that his mom brought into the house, which was foster kids. And so I don't know what she was doing, but she never went to jail. So she let her own son go to jail instead of herself. And so something was going on even in his childhood. And so, for me, it's kind of like thinking back on it, a reconciliation of thinking something happened in my mom's childhood. And, both families, my first husband and my mom and family was very religious. And the men, they'd go sit in church. They're quiet, and they still want to portray, not still, a lot of them have passed away. But I was thinking, when I say still, I'm looking at the current modern men of 2025. They'll be in the churches. Oh, and there's one idiot on YouTube, actually. And he only comes on YouTube. He says he does his real church stuff on the weekends in real life, and he keeps referencing being a bishop of some sort, and it's like, I don't care. You can call yourself Bishop Shitfuck, and I don't give a flying fuck about a bishop. You're nothing. You guys work, what, once a week? They get paid once a week to do what? To sit in a church and wear some funky uniform that looks like they fell out of the KKK? I mean, because to me, that's kind of what it seems like. He's just saying, oh, well, we really don't take YouTube seriously. We're just going to put a bunch of junk on YouTube. We really don't take it seriously for other people. So we just want to make it messed up. You know what? No one's going to go to church over that, because we know church is full of shit. They allow abuse. Church allows abuse. So why do I want to go sit next to people inside of a church? I mean, I have zero trust for churches. It's not going to get any better because the men are in the church, and the men are allowing these abuses to happen and to take place. So they sit there and they'll smile at your face and then not help you. I mean, the only reason they're in church to begin with is to try to find a woman. So church is a false dichotomy, if that's a correct word. Church is a false narrative. There's nothing good about church. It's brainwashing. And these bishops, the Catholic Church is brainwashed. I don't know how they stay in business. They shouldn't. They need to go out of business. But yet, it's nice. It's nice to be able to have now women, I've noticed a lot of women on YouTube who are single. They've been in abusive relationships too. and they're saying they are fine being alone. And it's like I get that. You when you're in a relationship, right now for me it's going to be harder. It would be a lot harder to be in a relationship because of the fact it's like, well, where is it going to go this time? Because I've already set it up for failure. Basically, that's what I've done, is set it up for failure. Because it's just not going to work. And, because I absolutely don't trust any of the males that I've come across. And it's like, basically, I'm not attracted to them anyway. They're friend material, but they don't want to be friends. Even the ones on the internet, they don't want to be friends. They want someone to talk to and to actually have a relationship. That's what I've been learning. That's why they ask for women's emails on YouTube, is because they want to, now there are deceptive ones from other countries who are doing that, but there's ones inside of the United States doing that too. And that's basically what they're looking for. And there's quite a few of them too who they're like, oh, well, I just want to find a woman just to amuse myself, and call her a lefty liberal. So they just want to get a charge and entertain themselves just to be an asshole and a jerk. And that's what the churches and the church bishops and those who say that they're entertainment on the internet, on YouTube, and that it's just entertainment and they're doing it for fun, but they're doing their real churching in real life. Now, what they're saying is if they actually got caught, they're using AI to hide behind who they really are. And they're saying that if they got caught in real life, that they were on YouTube doing what they're doing, their church would disown them. And it's like, well, if you can't do it in real life, then why are you on the internet doing it if you're so ashamed to do it in real life? I mean, basically what they're saying is that they're doing church for, there's a currency they're getting out of church. I don't know if it's the offering, but there's some or attention, or there's some currency they're getting out of church, but they don't want to reveal who they really are. But they're the ones who will smile in your face, but they're presenting the two faces. Well, that's where two-faced comes from. The word two-faced. Two-faced, yeah. That would be a good two-faced, I mean, that's another rabbit hole to go down. Two-faced. And I always said that about church, Hello, Denver Gulleroy. And that's kind of like the people on the internet too. We find, when we're trying to connect with people who like doing stuff, instead of, I'm not sure how to word it. It's like, the thing is, I'm supportive of content creators on the internet, on YouTube. I've been, whether I subscribe to them or not. And, sometimes I am a loyal watcher of some YouTubers and I'm not subscribed to them. I just remember who they are and I go to their channels. But when I'm subscribed to them, even when I do the notifications, try to customize them, they still come up. They'll still come up from time to time. Fortunately, so the network ones they're not coming up. The network ones. Now the YouTubers, they're a little different. I'm finding quite a bit of difference with the individual YouTubers from the network ones who are part of the big legacy media networks. And, and even some of the big YouTube channels too. But, there was one I subscribed to. I didn't put on all notifications, which that's a choice. And he was just coming up and all the time. I mean, he has like millions and millions of followers. And it's like they're the ones who are coming up all the time. It's like you got your millions of followers. And yet your one same video is coming up all the time. The one same video. That's kind of how I feel about church on YouTube. Because all of these churches, it does not matter which one I watch. It does not matter what denomination it is. They're all preaching the same hatred. It's hatred. It's Sharia law is what they're preaching. They're preaching hatred out of church. They're preaching hatred of humanity out of church. Not once have I heard loving messages out of church. Now there's a few women, very few, who have messages of maybe a shadow of hope. But I think these are women probably trying to break into something when they're probably better off to stay outside of it and do it on YouTube and then just go in the direction they want to go. Because I would rather watch a woman outside of an indoctrinated church preaching messages, because she's probably going to be more truthful. You know, she's going to be scared. Yes, of course she's going to be scared, because there's always a bunch of hateful men, and always against the woman, just trying to jab, jab, jab. And it's like, why are they doing that? They profess in real life to her face that they care about her. But when it comes to the internet, when it comes to a woman being successful, well, this is why we see the United States has never had a woman president, because clearly men hate women. Without a doubt, men hate women. I always see that out of this president, too. This current president. Oh. I think his wife has found that out, too. You know, that's why she's embarrassed of being around him, it seems like. It really does seem like that way, that she's embarrassed being around him. You know, unless it can further her career of some sort. Maybe that's why she's in it still. Unless she can further her career somehow. But, yeah, someone will probably, as First Lady, she's a lot younger than him. They'll probably, offer her up book deals and things like that as her being a First Lady, and ask questions, pick her brain of, well, what's it like being a First Lady? I really don't find her relatable at all, because I don't even understand her. I'm thinking as many decades as she's been in the United States, you would think that she would speak better English than what she does. I can't understand her. And so they're probably going to ask her about the challenges of, unless she writes a book about, it seems more right now like she's probably in line to write a book about Jeffrey Epstein or something like that. Some type of nonsense where her husband can find a way to do something to benefit himself. Or do some other lawsuit. I mean, that's what we're always saying, that using the court system to weaponize the presidency, and the court system to weaponize a lot of things, to weaponize families against families. But I think I'm done now. Because you guys are trying to pull out names. I'm not using them, because of the fact that you guys are pretending to be something that you're not. And I'm tired of having people who don't even speak English. You guys don't even speak English on my channel. I'd like people who speak English. People who I can actually communicate with and identify with the country that I live in.